evening and good to have you with us on this edition of The Urban Debate. Because one of the biggest talking points in our country today has been the Narcotics Control Bureau's investigation into the drug links in Bollywood. It started off with Sushant Singh's case and then investigation into Rhea Chakrabarti and her managers and her brother, and then the net widened. We've been telling you since then that the NCB's case isn't going to be limited to Rhea Chakrabarti. And that's what's happened now. One after the other, big Bollywood names from designers to talent managers to big actors, A-listers, are now being summoned by the Narcotics Control Bureau. In fact, let me tell you how busy they're going to be for the next couple of days. Deepika Padukone has been asked to appear before the NCB on September 26th, that's on Saturday. Before that, we will also have Rakul Preet, who is likely to join the NCB probe on September 25th, which is tomorrow. Sara Ali Khan has also been summoned for September 26th. Designer Simone has already been questioned by the NCB. And there are several more who are already being questioned. Reports suggest more names could pop up as these stars are questioned, and perhaps the NCB also takes a look at their phone records. The whole country is right now talking about whether this is a witch hunt or if there is a genuine cleanup which is required, that the drugs and drugs menace and drugs addiction in Bollywood, which we need to talk about. Let me give you the two sides. The side that says it's a witch hunt says there haven't been any major arrests or big seizures yet. None of these stars have been caught with anything on them. The fact that Narcotics Control Bureau is a national agency which should be looking at larger drug nets and drug overhauls. The fact that the summons are actually based on some of the WhatsApp chats that happened way earlier. They're not even recent chats. The other camp that actually is batting for cleanup and says there is a dire need for it, says that Bollywood is not above investigation, that the drug menace does come under the NCB's domain. That's exactly their jurisdiction. Why shouldn't they be investigating it? Why shouldn't they be asking questions? And of course, the fact that these stars, the Bollywood actors and actresses, are icons for our country, they should be held accountable. Now, we are going to talk about this today. I am going to present you the facts as we know, the legalities involved, and the perceptions that have now emerged in this story and are having an impact on the case clearly. But before I do that, I want to tell you something that actually should have caught the nation's attention, something that Mirror Now has repeatedly raised and spoken about, something that should actually keep our netas, our police officials, our Narcotics Bureau sleepless. Because the drugs menace in our country is very, very real. The drugs menace in our country is worsening, intensifying, and youngsters are constantly getting targeted, have become easy prey. It's all right to talk about Bollywood because, well, it's Bollywood, everybody wants to talk about it. But I am going to take this opportunity to remind you of just how big this problem is. In our country, there are about 2.26 crore users, 2.26 crore users of heroin and opium. 77 lakh users of drugs via inhalants, 8.5 lakh users of intravenous drugs, and this is government data as of 2019 that I'm quoting to you. In our country, and this is the most horrifying one, but maybe you haven't heard about it, one juvenile on an average is dying due to drug overdose every 10 days. One juvenile, those below the age of 18, dies every 10 days in our country because of drug overdose. This is what has happened in the last 3 years. Between January 1st, 2016 to December 31st, 2018, 2,398 people died of drug overdose, of whom 126 were below the age of 18. And the drug overdose, deaths due to drug overdose are on a rise, 17% up from 2017 versus 2018. It's a massive problem amongst our youngsters in schools and in colleges in big cities and small towns. So I would hope that we also discuss this. I would hope that this too catches the attention of our authorities, of our state governments and central government, and of our police, narcotics bureau, and every other agency whose job it is to ensure that we get rid of this drug menace. That being said, let us say good evening to the panelists who are joining us right now for the simple question that I have about what everybody is talking: witch hunt or first step to clean up in Bollywood? And I want to say good evening to Dr. P.S. Pasricha, former DGP of Maharashtra; Mukesh Tyagi, actor, joining us this evening; Mayank Shekhar, a film critic; Mr. B.V. Kumar, former DG for NCB; and Fauzia Arshi, a filmmaker, joining us this evening as well, and an entrepreneur. First up, let me actually begin with Fauzia about what her view is. Fauzia, the biggest talking point: is this a witch hunt or is this a genuine cleanup much welcomed?
Well, it is a witch hunt, I would like to say. And here I would like to say that Bollywood is not a handful of people, made up of just, 10, 15, 20 stars. Bollywood means a spot boy, a makeup man, a technician, everybody. So what are we saying? That are we targeting everybody? Everybody is a drug addict, and the entire, and I really mind calling it Bollywood. It is an industry, a serious industry. So do you think that this industry is just into drugs, and they're not doing anything? The beautiful films that are coming from the industry, the creativity that is come from the industry, they are all nashelchis and gajedis. You mean to say that? Where is the root? I must say that this is the failure of this system. With this regard, I would like to say there is a failure of a system, and they are not able to catch up the root, that from where these drugs are supplied. Let us catch them and not these people. These people, okay, fine, they are taking drugs, and that's wrong. But where it's not happening, it's only our industry which is being targeted like this. What is the agenda of the people who are targeting? What is the agenda? I would like to question. And Indian cinema contributes at the world platform. We are noticed. We are the third largest film industry in the world. You mean to say that before the entire world, you are branding us, labeling us as the Nashelchis?
Looks like it. I hope that wasn't the case, but it often happens in our country. Let me bring in Mukesh Tyagi. Mr. Mukesh Tyagi, do you believe there is a specific agenda behind this, the way events are unfolding?
Um, at this point of time, it is very difficult to have any conjecture whether it's a witch hunt or it's a fair investigation, because right now it is premature. But yes, let me tell you, the enforcement authorities do not get involved just for the fun. They have a serious agenda ahead. They have got serious evidence. No wonder today Riya Chakravarti's bail has not been given, despite the fact this is a very extended period. She was arrested on 8th of September, and today you can imagine how many days she is behind the bar. So this is completely, I think, one way of creating some kind of a smoke screen to create ambiguity that these investigations are nothing but witch hunt. There have been a solid discovery. They have found in possession. They have raided different places. The talent management company Kuan has already been established, the WhatsApp chat. So these are sufficient evidences. It doesn't matter whether it's a Bollywood or it's a not Bollywood. The idea is the drug menace in India is so detrimental to the younger generation. It is taking away life. You just shared, Tanvi, the statistics, they are so harrowing in nature that kids are becoming addicted. And look at the kind of money every drug costs. So you are really creating economic subjugation of this young potential prosperity. Now there is a narco-terrorism, which is again very serious issue. So any beginning, it doesn't matter from Bollywood or non-Bollywood, is very welcome. But only thing is, people will try to derail this process of investigation. There are mighty people who are behind it. There is the underworld which is connected to it. There may be some big politicians and businessmen who are funding this such a huge billion-dollar drug business in India. So they will try to derail this process. And that is where I think media is playing a greater role by raising this flag, though media is coming under some kind of a criticism that they are only playing Sushant, but no, you are doing a massive cleanup operations, and your support to this kind of initiative is very important, Tanvi. And I think you have shared wonderful statistics. I'm so alarmed by these statistics. So it can't be ruled out
Yes,
that
so
it is a
that is an okay. You're saying, well, let the investigation unfold. Whatever has happened today is on the basis of the information that is there. Mr. B.V. Kumar, let me ask you this question because many are right now questioning the NCB's motive, that they flew down here just with one agenda to really, go after Bollywood, get as many people in this linked into this case, dragged into this case. I mean, after all, Mr. B.V. Kumar, if there is a massive drug menace in Bollywood, that's not something new. NCB would have known it earlier as well.
No, the NCB was set up as an elite organization to basically suppress interstate trafficking in drugs and also undertake international investigations in association with sister agencies like the Drug Enforcement Administration in USA and the National Criminal Intelligence Service in UK, and also the RCMP of Canada. That is the type of investigations usually the Narcotics Control Bureau takes up. Further, they have a very good intelligence network where they try to unearth and find out the location of the drugs where they are stored, the transport network, and also the main financiers involved in either importing or producing locally or manufacturing drugs and other things in India. So that is their main task, not to go after the drug addicts, whoever they are. They could be Hollywood or there are any other young people distributed across the country. As rightly pointed out by you, a survey conducted by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, they found out more than 2.3 crores worth of drug addicts in 18 and 19. Now it must have gone up much higher, and as rightly pointed out, it's percolating to the young generation. So what Narcotics Control Bureau is basically interested is with a job to really find out and neutralize the real drug traffickers, the main big fish that are involved, not to go after the small fry, whoever they are. They could be Bollywood actors or any other youngsters who are probably used to drug addiction. Drug addiction itself is not a major offense because if drugs are found in small quantities, the judge has the option to release them on a bond under Section 64A. And what is necessary is, assuming for a moment that the Narcotics Control Bureau had information about some of these people from their either mobile phones or laptops or computers, whatever they are, they should have gone up to the peddlers and from there up the chain from which the source of supply came, and not come down to find out who are the consumers from to whom these peddlers are distributing. I personally feel sorry that the Narcotics Control Bureau lost its main objective of being set up in the country. Their main task is to really find out who are the major drug traffickers in the country and neutralize them. That is the type of investigation they should take up. And that was what was done in the past. I don't want to name the cases and other things. I personally feel this was a digression from their main charter functions.
Well, this is a very big thing that you have said, a big statement that you're making, Mr. B.V. Kumar. You were the first Director General of the NCB, and you are saying that you are disappointed to see how the agency now seems to be deviating from what its core focus and core charter is. Mr. Pasricha, if I can come to you on it, on some of the points that Mr. B.V. Kumar has raised, the bigger offense being drug peddling and drug smuggling and selling and distributing it, rather than consumption, drug trafficking. Shouldn't that be the focus, or does the investigation begin with this? Ask the people who may be consuming it and then go to the other end of the chain.
Well, first I must compliment you and Mr. Kumar for initiating an excellent discussion. And Mr. Kumar, I know he had an impeccable integrity and he has put forth the views very candidly. I'm very happy. Well, drug production, drug smuggling, and drug consumption is a major threat to the entire mankind all over the world, India being no exception. And even Taliban, Al Qaeda, ISI, their entire funding is coming only from the drugs. So it's a serious matter which can ruin the future generations. So we have to take the whole issue very, very seriously. It's a major problem, major evil. But it will be very unfair to brand the entire institution, in this case, what we are discussing as maybe the film world, entire, institution, we cannot, ruin their reputation. There are bad people everywhere. You take any department, whether police department, any education, anywhere, we have very good people, average people, bad people, very bad people. Even white light has seven, the spectrum of 7 colors. So therefore, let us not brand. Let's not digress from the issue. We have to, since the entire thing has been started, the investigation has been taken up for whatever reasons, it must reach its logical conclusion, and they must, trace the major links from where the whole thing is coming, because right now it's only limited to consumption, but that is how the investigation develops and go on a higher plane as it develops. And then you can, go to the peddlers, and from peddlers you'll be the stockists, then smugglers, then that kind of thing. So the entire syndicate has got to be exposed. So it's required. But as Mr. Kumar very rightly said, let's know, since we have now entered this arena, let's really widen it and attack the problem and attack the source in a big way. My only sad thing is, I'm feeling a little sad that the merely because some people are being summoned by the NCB, it does not mean they're accused. But the wrong signal is going all over.
Right.
That, particular people are, the accused. And I think that's not ruin the reputation, because it's very easy to ruin the reputation and very difficult to, bring it back. So my only feeling is, my only request to everybody is, let us attack the problem and whosoever is involved. Because even in the consumption, there are certain caps. If it's a few grams, then it's a matter which can be handled by the drug addiction, de-addiction center, reform center. If it's beyond a cap, then it's a serious offense. And that kind of thing. Take action against anybody. But let's not brand the entire institution, because it will create, it may not be, we may not understand the implications today, but the consequences can be very disastrous in the long run if we damage the reputation of any one institution. Anyone. I'm not talking only of the film world. Thank you.
Okay, very well put to both of our experts here. Thank you so much, in fact, for being so upfront and direct about, what your view is. Mayank Shekhar, let me pick up from what Dr. Pasricha said. The fact is that they've just been summoned right now, and that's to ask questions, because their names have popped up in our chat. NCB has one chat, which is between Deepika Padukone and her manager. They're talking about sourcing some drugs. And obviously NCB has questions. It has been it's reportedly, Rhea Chakrabarti has accepted that they did hang out and they all did party a lot when Sushant was alive. Sara Ali Khan, the fact that Sushant took drugs is now, something that is also being looked into, has been said by multiple witnesses to the agencies. So are we jumping the gun? Isn't it okay for NCB to call these people and ask them a few questions?
It's absolutely okay for an agency that's investigating any particular matter, and it's well within its right to do it, right? It's not the case itself that reeks of witch hunt. It's the manner in which the case is being played out, where private WhatsApp messages are being aired in public, essentially to defame people who are essentially only being summoned. They're not accused in any case. And I think it's just reached a level of the theater of the absurd, because if you just see the coverage of this case, which is obviously hand in glove, the media has to be hand in glove with the investigating agency, because where else is it getting all these messages from? In any case, who's supplying it to them, right? So if you just see the manner in which has happened, and if we were to preserve these videos for say about 10 or 15 years later, one would assume that the biggest problem in India at this point, when about 1 lakh cases of COVID is happening, is whether or not Deepika Padukone, a film actor, consumed or took a puff of hash in 2017. It's been blown up to that point, and clearly the idea is to show a certain set of people who work in a certain industry in a very, very negative light, which, I mean, as Mr. Pasricha said, it's about preserving certain the sanctity of certain places, right? The long-term consequences, you see just a series of names of female actors being brandied across television networks, right? Now, it's hard enough for women to enter this field. It's been a very tough battle for them, even to fight it among their parents to enter this field. It's always had a particular, sort of a bizarre, outwardly, the respect that it did not have for many years. We were finding that. This industry was finding that. It's hard enough for female actors to get apartments in Bombay. You know what I mean? So when you just, create this sort of a narrative of a drug den and ganjeri or whatever else, that you start calling these people, you make life really hard for a lot of other people. It's not just about Deepika Padukone, right? It's about defaming an entire profession. And it's been quite terrible, actually, and it needs to stop at some point, for sure.
Okay, Mayank, just a very small point. Just like I don't believe all of Bollywood is addicted to drugs, and I will never say that. I don't think we should even generalize the media. I will not stand here or defend or talk about other organizations, but I can tell you, and our panelists and our viewers know it, of course, because they've been watching. We've not even put out one private chat, WhatsApp conversation. We've only gone with the facts that investigating agencies for the past 2 months have presented as part of legal documentation, whether it was an FIR or a remand copy or an official autopsy report and whatever has been submitted in court. So I believe there is a certain way of reporting every story, which is the right way, with facts, and that's what we've done. But I understand that the point that you're making. Here is my question, Mr. Mukesh Tyagi. Mr. Mukesh Tyagi, is there anything wrong in calling them? Or like many others are saying, why focus on them when there is a larger issue, a bigger issue at hand? Why target a handful of people?
Absolutely. Tanvi, when movie Udta Punjab was made, none of these guys ever said that why are you tarnishing the image of entire Punjab? You think entire Punjab is floating on the drugs? So there are exaggerated impositions to establish your points. And if somebody is raising a point, it's not tarnishing anybody's image. Of course, tarnishing image is the easiest thing in the social media world. Very easy to tarnish anybody's image, but everybody is going through tarnishing, whether it's Mr. Rahul Gandhi or Mr. Modi. Anybody holding any public place is subject to trolling and tarnishing the image. You cannot rule that out. That is a human tendency. In Bollywood and cricket, I think, are like a religion in India. Everything happens in Bollywood, whether right or wrong, it gets reflected in the public society. So I think because of this reason, you cannot sweep under the carpet of a stardom the entire scandal, or why not to clean up why drug is impacting so much the Bollywood? Is it a performance enhancer? Is it the kind of money which is spent? It is so infectious to other people who don't have money. Once they get into addiction, it's like a complete trap of their lifetime. They resort to the illegal means to make that kind of money. They resort to women resort to prostitutions. So the impact of the drug and recovering from the drug is so difficult. So I think another point I want to say through your Tanvi, you see, it is against NCB. Like so much of massive operation happens in the country, all over the world, from this Golden Triangle and all these places, India, Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan, and then Myanmar, and all these countries are flooding drugs in India because India is a very vibrant market. Why the intelligence has not been able to capture the investors? Yeah. Those people, it's $1 billion investment in a drug trade. Easily you can catch up 100 crores.
So that's the point, right?
But why?
So that's
these
the
guys
point, right, Mr. Mukesh Tyagi, that you say that if you are in the public domain, people will target you, even if they're targeting you unfairly. But where the real problem lies, nobody has the guts to go there. Where the real, menace lies, nobody has the guts to go there. In fact, let me read out this as well. This is a story published in Outlook just this month. And they've quoted a raw official who said that the Drug Enforcement Agency of the US, the DEA, the one that actually cracks down on drug cartels across the world, has made several offers to India to conduct joint operations with the NCB. None have materialized in the recent past. This after US President Donald Trump last year designated India amongst the top 20 major drug transit or illicit drug producing countries. You would think this would have all of us a lot more worried. There are a couple of stars who are being summoned right now, and a couple of drug peddlers who've been arrested over carrying 50 grams of ganja on them. Some of those who are arrested didn't even have any drugs on them. Isn't that odd, Mr. B.V. Kumar? Under the legal structure that NCB functions, the powers that they have and the laws that dictate their cases and their actions, is a WhatsApp chat enough grounds for this kind of an action?
To make 2 or 3 points. Number one, no drugs were seized from any of the film stars except what was allegedly or reportedly whatever data they have retrieved from their mobile phones or from their laptops or computers or whatever other electronic storage media is concerned. The second thing is most of it was based on their statements, or most of the names came out when they were interrogated or when the peddlers were interrogated. So, and then the law is very clear. When there is no allegation about seizure of drugs from any of them, then the only thing that survives is consumption, which it's, and that too, if it is in small quantities, the punishment is very, very lenient as far as the law is concerned, because the intention of the law is to bring out a very heavy hand on the drug traffickers and not on the drug consumers. Under Section 64A, there can be a warrant, and after executing a bond, the judge has the option to send them home to a de-addiction center. So that's how the law. Now, coming to the evidential part of what is seized, as supposed to be the chats or WhatsApp messages and other things, the evidence has to be strictly satisfy the provisions of Section 65A and 65B of the Indian Evidence Act, which very clearly provide very strict conditions, and unless they are satisfied, the evidence is not valid in law. Further, there is another section in the Evidence Act, Section 20A, which very clearly says that oral statements recorded during the course of investigation are not relevant if the genuineness of what is seized from the electronic storage media is not genuine. So first of all, the NCB or whoever is the investigating agency has to surmount this difficult condition. And it's a well-known fact that evidence in the computers or any other electronic storage media can be morphed, manipulated, or changed. And that is how the conditions have been made very strict in the law. The next thing is that the investigation that's being conducted has now, whether knowingly or otherwise, has tarnished the image of so many well-known stars or whoever they are and important personalities. Instead, if the investigation was directed upward to the peddler, to the main supplier, and then to the source and other things, that would have really been a good method of investigation. It's a known fact that India initially was a transit country from the Golden Crescent and the Golden Triangle. And then in the process, slowly the percolation of drugs within the country happened. And within the country, the manufacturing has also started. A number of factories manufacturing mandrax, for example, were located and destroyed by the Narcotics Control Bureau of FAS. Illicit cultivation was destroyed in the Kambakal Valley of Kerala at the altitudes of 5,000 to 8,000 feet. Then there's illicit cultivation of opium still in the upper reaches and the western UP hills and other things. These are the things which should be tackled. The strategy should be find out where the location is, find out where the conversion into either natural drugs like what you call cannabis or ganja or synthetic drugs. That's what is required to be found out, and then find out the source, and then the transport network. It's the fifth stage where it comes down to the drug consumers. Now, the upper flow of the cash started, as Dr. Pasricha pointed out. The money that is generated is enormous. The world income that is generated from drugs is about $320 billion. And this drugs money is now utilized for financing terrorism. It's a recorded fact. As pointed out by Dr. Pasricha, not only the Taliban, but Al-Qaeda was initially totally financed by the drug-generated money. So the danger is the money that is generated in drug trafficking can be utilized either for financing terrorism or for to defeat the political agenda of the government or even the democratic process. That is the danger which we have to really face, and the Narcotics Control Bureau has a very important role in that particular task, and not go after the small peddlers or small consumers. That should be left to the police station of the area and other things, and not take up this type of thing. I had the benefit of seeing the remand application of Riya Chakravarti.
You know, and you've so comprehensively, Mr. B.V. Kumar, painted the larger picture for us, the picture that we keep missing, we keep ignoring, we keep looking away from. And what we instead are sitting and talking about are the drug seizures that involved 46 grams of ganja on one person who was arrested, 13 grams of ganja on the other person who was arrested, 5 grams of hashish on the third person who was arrested, 590 grams of hashish on the fourth person who was arrested, who also had 60 grams or 0.6 grams of LSD, and that's that. And that essentially has become the basis for the investigation that is going on right now. Fawzia Arshi, do you agree that this looks like right now, depends on where it reaches later, but right now it looks for a classic case of really going for the small fish and, you know, ignoring the big ones?
Exactly, I agree, and I must thank Mr. Pasricha for saying this on this show, that you should not defame and disrepute the entire industry for the sake of handful of people. It's very, very difficult to, you know, bring back the name. You know, the families, Indian families, they will stop sending their children in our industry, which film industry is a career for the entire nation's youth these days. You know, and if these things come up in the platform, in media so much, and like this, the way it is being presented these days is a very, very serious issue that should be questioned. And I must add one thing here. $10 billion is the revenue that we get from the drug industry. You know, who is supplying that? Don't you think so that it is a failure of the system, you know, that they are not able to stop the, you know, import or the bringing in these drugs into the market? You are questioning small people, you know, 4, 5, 10, 18 people. What? And do you think that this is the only industry that the people are engrossed in drugs and all? There are so many other places where the drugs are found. You never question them. You want to hide it because there's a huge money involved in these transactions in this very area. So I must say that catch those people who are involved. Don't label us as, you know, the drug addicts. Film industry should not be labeled as a drug industry.
So here is my question to you, Fawzia, and then to Mayank. Why do you think that's happening right now?
See, there are some group of people, and for the sake of serving their personal agenda, they have started raising this question, you know, so loudly. I don't say that you should, but this loudly, at the extent of abusing and calling us as mafias and drug addicts and all. What is this? Just for little fame, you are going to question this industry like this? No, you shouldn't. We have to find out that what is that personal agenda which is going on in the minds of those, you know, those people who are talking loudly against the industry, who represents industry. You know, I will not name them here, but there's a group of people who are very much the part of the industry, they are also, if you go and peel off peel off the onion, फिर निकलेंगे छिलके सारे कि वो कितने खुद involved हैं, how much they are also involved into it. So their lives also, they should look into their lives as well. Who are they? What are they doing? Is this any kind of frustration that they are talking out of some frustration? They're talking like that. Why are they allowed? Who are backing them? I don't say that there's somebody
Right.
backing them over this, but yes, there is something. That brings question to your mind. The entire nation is talking, and names of the drugs. Names of the drugs, which I also didn't knew in my life. But I'm being
Yeah.
informed by like this. There's some kind of drugs
Okay.
available.
Okay. Well, Mayank, what is your view? Frankly, let me also say that right now there is quite a bit of concern within the industry, film industry. We try to reach out to a lot of them for separate conversations, maybe have them on a discussion panel. Nobody really wants to speak out right now. Is there a sense within the industry that because earlier this year many of them did speak up, this is the response that they're getting, and this is why this is happening to the industry?
Yeah, I mean, there are troll armies out there on social media, out there to shut you up if you even say one word, right? And there is a concerted campaign that happens on a daily basis. You can't ask people to speak up and then shut them up the moment they do say anything, and then say he didn't say anything. It's a vicious circle in its own way. And I think most people just want to be quiet, lie low, and hope for this to get over, because this has been a reality television for about 2.5 months now, where it just keeps shifting. The goalpost just keeps shifting. There's a new episode. There's nothing else that was happening on television for entertainment anyway, and that's what television news channels took it up to entertain people. But from entertainment, and I think Mr. B.V. Kumar will be able to inform us a little better. I mean, I was really shocked that from entertainment, with just salacious gossip rather than real investigation, it reached a point that there is a 28-year-old girl, a brother who's in his early 20s. They're both still in jail, not for possession, because there was nothing found, not for a possible ring or organized crime, because there is no evidence to that effect, on the basis of a WhatsApp report where she could have had marijuana. She's in jail. I mean, does the same law not apply to all the ghats of Banaras or all the entire Kumbh Mela? Do the same laws not apply to half the college campuses? You can raid them and you'll find them all going to jail. I mean, this seemed like a bizarre thing to happen. And of course, people genuinely who have nothing else to do are getting entertained, but some lives are genuinely getting affected by this. And in this case, an industry, the image of a whole industry of really hardworking people is being tarnished on a daily basis through WhatsApp messages. I think you can question you're saying to me that you've been ethical about it, but there has to be some legality about it too. Is it legal to just put out people's private chat messages for the national audiences to go through? Everything else becomes an official Secrets Act, but this is okay for private citizens and their lives to be put out there in public? I think this needs to be put into question, and I hope that happens too, along with the investigation. I don't have a problem with the investigation. Let them do what they want to. It's the sensationalism around it which seems like a witch hunt.
Yes, I would agree with you to the point that let there be an investigation. Let's see what really comes out. Let the investigation reach its logical end. Because as we speak, and of course it's not been 6 months or a year, but as we speak, I don't know where the Enforcement Directorate's investigation into Sushant's and Ria's bank accounts and money laundering charges have actually gone.
Yeah.
I don't even know where the CBI's investigation into Sushant's death case has gone. And now there is this new case that the NCB is looking at. To the question that you raised, Mayank, and maybe Dr. Pasricha can come in a little bit to elaborate more on that. But Dr. Pasricha, why is she still in jail? My understanding is that in such cases, in the initial round of custody hearings, especially where NCB has not even sought her custody, the decision is not really made on the merits of the case. It's simply to decide whether she should be sent to judicial custody or let out. Would you help us understand more?
Well, before I answer that, I have 3 points to make, which are very relevant to what you mentioned and what Mr. Mike had mentioned, just to supplement what Mr. Kumar has elaborated. Number one, 3-4 years old WhatsApp messages, how have you retrieved? It could be with the help of WhatsApp company only, or if the accused, gives this iCloud and then you try to retrieve whatever the method is. I am not very sure whether there's a legal agreement with the WhatsApp company that they will, share the messages to the investigating agency. Second point is, even if it's legally obtained, I don't know what the latest law, NCB may be right, Mr. Kumar will know better, then the leaking of this information to the media, I am not very sure, because that can have very serious legal issues, because the WhatsApp company can be sued. Third one will be, if the accused tomorrow, for example, says, no, I had not sent a message, WhatsApp message, then the WhatsApp company will have to depose before the court to say, yes, it's a fact that the message has been given, she is telling a lie. But whether the WhatsApp company will like to get involved in that kind of deposition in the courts, because WhatsApp is all over the world. So these three issues, I don't know whether Mr. Kumar will be able to explain. Now, coming to your specific point, well, I cannot say much, because it's the discretion and judgment, the wisdom of the court. I cannot question it. But normally what happens is, if the NCB has put up a case like this, that they have to know, establish links, who was the supplier. And from the supplier, they want to go to the, that who was, transporting, and then they want to go to have a logical completion of the case. Then, in that case, there's always a chance that the court may agree with it. And, but then I cannot say beyond it. Let Mr. Kumar, if he wants to share, he can do it. I will not like to be a party to this. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. B.V. Kumar, would you want to, elaborate more on this angle?
Yeah, 2-3 things I wanted to say. One is, under the Indian Telegraphic Act, the WhatsApp company or the mobile infrastructure companies, they are bound to preserve the records and also submit to the government under summons whenever the data that has been recorded is required for investigation. That's one point. So legally, it is correct to summon and obtain data from either the WhatsApp company or any of the mobile telephone companies. So that legal provision is there. That is only one small part of it. But the most important part is, I had the benefit of seeing the remand application of Riya Chakravarti, as pointed out to Dr. Pasricha, why she is unnecessarily kept for so many days in jail. I saw that, and I found what the NCB has said in the remand application is that they are investigating the case further, and then they mentioned that she may be remanded to judicial custody. And they have charged her under Section 8C of the Act, then 20B, 27, and 28. They charge her. Fine. But the problem is, any offense with a small quantity, which was also not found from her, but during the course of investigation, some chain was found from where the drugs moved and other things. The small offenses and small quantities are offenses which are punishable for less than 6 months in some cases, and with a maximum fine of 10,000 rupees, up to 6 months. A slightly larger quantity, it may extend up to 1 year, and under Section 27, I'm talking, for where it is consumed and things like that, or 1 year and may extend to 20,000 rupees. These are bailable offenses. Under the CRPC is very clear. If a punishment is less than 3 years, they are all bailable offenses. And any punishment beyond 3 years, then it is non-bailable offense for offenses like serious offenses involving more than 3 years, or life imprisonment, or death penalty. In such cases, they are non-available. But in this case, the honorable judge should have, in the normal course, given her the bail on the very first day itself when the application was moved. It's unfortunate that I don't know what other reasons the honorable judge had to remand her further. Now it's going up to 29th. Probably the High Court will in its wisdom
the interesting
take
part
a top
that
of this.
if I may just add to that, Mr. B.V. Kumar, The interesting part is that the NCB did arrest her. They arrested Riya Chakrabarti, but they said they don't want to ask her any more questions. They don't seek any more information. They have what they need. And that's why they don't need her custody, and which is why she was sent to judicial custody, jail, rather than, NCB getting the custody. I very quickly, I want to go back to Mr. Mukesh Tyagi. You wanted to make a point in between. I'm sorry I couldn't come to you because we just wanted to clarify the legalities and just how strong a case exists currently. Go ahead, Mr. Mukesh Tyagi.
Tanvi, you have two great authorities sitting, Dr. Pasita and B.B. Kumar. I think I'm enjoying their conversation and getting enlightened on the investigative methods. You see, what has happened is that, it is an information technology era. Now, WhatsApp has become a very secretive conversation and reliable because WhatsApp commits that it is encrypted, it cannot be disclosed. So there is a lot of dubious activities going within the WhatsApp circuit. Second thing is that, IT Act has amended Indian Evidence Act. And therefore, the digital evidence has become very robust evidence. And you will see to a very robust ruling also coming from the Supreme Court that it should not be only treated as secondary evidence, but the primary evidence. Second thing, what I wanted to say is that, these drug operators work very, very carefully. They are conscious of each and every provision of the NDPS Act. And they carry out only that much of substance which does not violate or it is a minor punishment, so they become bailable. That's why you will see most of the peddlers, they get hauled up in rave parties and other parties and they get bailed next morning. So what is happening is it has become extremely organized. And I somehow don't agree that, the small leads will lead to the bigger lead. And as far as Riya Chakrabarti is concerned, if this is a criticism on NCT, they had filed the 1520 FIR, which would have actually not led to arrest because it was a very frivolous FIR. But then they altered because of the Supreme Court order says that any FIR subsequently filed will be clubbed. They filed 16/20, which led to the arrest and remand of Riya Chakrabarti. So there has been some kind of a shallow job done. So we cannot afford because so much of media exposure, so much of work is going on. And suppose it comes out nothing, then I think it will be very serious disappointment. I agree that we should be very careful tarnishing any industry. Bollywood is a very prestigious industry for all of us, and we have to be very careful we make loose remarks. That's my submission.
Okay, well, we'll wait and watch what happens, and if there are more Bollywood names who are actually, summoned, who are actually questioned, and if beyond the summons, this investigation really goes anywhere, I do hope it gets to the point where they crack down on the drug traffickers, on the real drug mafia that is selling this drug, not just to people in Bollywood who may want to consume something in the film industry, but in schools, in colleges, in outside workplaces, targeting the vulnerable people and selling these drugs. Those who shield them should also be caught. Those who take a cut from this entire system, make their own money, should also be caught, should be caught. They need to be the focus of the investigation. The Narcotics Control Bureau has a tough task and a large task at hand. And it doesn't start with Riya Chakrabarti or end at Deepika Padukone. For the rest of it, let's think about it. Why is it that this investigation has begun now? Because they found a way in via the Riya Chakrabarti Sushant Singh case? Or because there was some other trigger? I'm sure the NCB always knew that there was a massive drug menace amongst a few people in Bollywood. Why is it happening now is the question. Thank you so much to all of our panelists. It's been a very enlightening conversation and a balanced, constructive, quiet one where everybody has heard each other out. Thank you for joining us here on Mirror Now.